Viewers, this is your host Sushil, and welcome to the journey on my YouTube channel. That is, my name Sushil Shalot. And today in this journey, I am going to explain you how to merge multiple worksheets into one Excel worksheet. Well, this has been always a desire or requirement in some way or the other, and as a user, there is a way of copying each worksheet or each tab from multiple worksheets into a single worksheet, which is a tedious job doing manually. So let us learn it in a different way here, and hence now let me walk you through the way to do that, and I will take you to the journey with the example, which is a virtual example. Now friends, there are various ways of merging multiple worksheets into a single Excel worksheet. There are VBA codes, there are Power Query ways, and there are many scripts which are written in VBA codes by different designers or different software experts. Well, I'm going to take you through this journey of Power Query in this video. So here in one folder, I have brought in multiple XLS files which are having the content as roll number of the student, name of the student, and the marks that student has secured in that subject. So there are multiple reasons why one would like to merge or combine or put in multiple worksheets into a single worksheet. Now I have taken a virtual example here wherein a school or a class has got various subjects being taught by different teachers, and the students though same, the subjects and the teachers vary. So they have got a template herein wherein the roll number, name and marks are to be written, and each teacher, after they do their own job, there is a requirement that one person or another teacher merges all these XLS files or the worksheets into a single worksheet. Now here we have got different subjects. This is the subject of art, next is biology, and chemistry, English, history, maths and physics. So viewers, let me tell you first thing, in Power Query, when one has to merge into multiple worksheets into a single worksheet, the first requirement is the headings of the columns here have to be the same all across in all worksheets. Mind well, the caps lock and non-caps lock or capital and non-capital alphabets also matter here. The sequence of the columns don't matter because while one does the merging through Power Query, there is something called as transformation in which one can arrange and rearrange these columns as and what are required. So not taking much time here. Now I've got these 7 files or 7 subject files wherein the teachers have merged in the marks secured by all the students. I see here there are 19 students here in this list, and their roll numbers are written, their names are written, and the marks that they have scored in the exam in that respective subject has been mentioned. So now let us begin with a fresh worksheet here, and for that I will go and open a fresh worksheet here in Excel file. Once this worksheet is open, now I have to go to data, get data from file, from folder, and as I mentioned earlier, all the XLS files which I wish to merge in are saved into a single folder, and by default I have opted folder. Now here you see the content is binary, the name of the XLS files are here, extension is written here, the date assessed, modified, created, activities, folder path, which already I have mentioned that all these worksheets are stored into a single folder called merge worksheets. So once this is done, now I have got a choice. First choice I'll explain you, it is combine and transform data. If at all of my data in this is very well perfect, clean and as required, that means all the columns, rows, etc. are being cleaned up, there's no junk data or there's no messed up data, then I can use this option. Or second option is combine and load. That means if at all everything is done and there is no transformation required, then I can choose to combine and load. So, and the third one is combine and load to. When one chooses the load to option, it has got multiple choices. The user can choose multiple choices. Subsequently, I'll explain you what are these choices. So, combine and transform is a option that most of the time the users require because the transformation of the data is required in their various worksheets before they are merged in. Second is the second tab here is load and load to. That means one can choose the files from this and then load it or load to. Third option here is transform data, which I have chosen here. So in transform data, one can choose to transform it in various ways. These are there are n number of ways of transforming data, which I am not right now explaining you as of now. Let me explain you the contents here that have appeared in the transform. So now the Power Query editor has opened up, and in this Power Query editor, the first tab here, the first applied step is the source. So the source files are these files in this column, which is name. So if I choose here, I see the arts XLS, the biology XLS, chemistry, and all other subject XLS, which appear in the preview. The next thing is the extension, the data access, and whatever we saw in the earlier one has come up. Now the attributes here have appeared as record. So there are various attributes in the file of which record is the one is of my interest. So I retain it as it is. Now if I go to this choice here from name, and if at all there is something that arts teacher says that okay, she has not completed the database correctly and she wants to cross check before the merger of the file into a single XLS file. That case, me as a merger or a person who is doing the merging activity do not want to import or merge or combine the arts XLS file. How do I do that is I have a choice here in name. I can decide which of these I don't want to merge, and say for example I don't want to merge the arts XLS file. I remove it from the list and I say okay. That means I have applied the filter there and the file XLS has gone off. So now as soon as I choose that, here the filter rows option or the filter row step has appeared in this Power Query settings, and now as by default arts file will not get imported or will not get merged into the new workbook that I have opened. Now, of this, if at all I choose the names here and I decide I go to transform and I say here that I don't want the extensions to appear, I can use the transform extract. There are a lot of options here like transpose, reverse rows, count rows, and many more, but I'm not walking through all this because the intention of this video is to explain you how to merge the files, and I'll try to concentrate on. So here from this I choose text before delimiter. I want to retain. So extract is what I have said. Now the delimiter here is a dot. I'm saying dot here in the delimiters cell here and say OK. Once done, now the file extension has gone here. Now extracted text before delimiter has appeared in the applied steps, and that is done. Now friends, as I already showed you in the beginning, the content of this file has got basically three columns: the roll number, name, and the marks code. So now if I decide that this is all what was required to be transferred, and now I transform, and now the file is very much ready to do the merger. I can go here to the content. Now here you can see, or I already explained you the content of this query here and the properties. Now in this content there is double arrows here where I am highlighting where it says combine files. When I hover it, I say combine files. When I say combine files, now it's evaluating the query, and once the evaluation is done, now it says combine files. Now if I see in this case, the sample file appears as the first file and the remaining files are be transformed in. So when I go and choose the sheet 1 here, I see the sheet 1 here from the first file in this list was, which was biology.xls file. So this is what is a sample file. When I go and I'm sure that all the content here is perfect, I can go over here and say okay. As soon as I say OK, now it goes on to the next stage of the query. Now it has done these things. It has filter hidden files after this filter has been applied. That is helpful in the case if at all any of the files which are getting combined here are open, it won't affect or impact merger. Now next thing is invoke custom function. That is, the custom function is copying over or carrying over the sample file in or the sample requirements or the sample stage into remaining XLS file. So this is a step here. So invoke custom has been done here. Next thing is remove other columns. Now only the column of transform file as a table has been retained and other columns have been removed. Expand table column. Now this is what we are going to see here. So this is the expanded table column one that is here, that is roll number, and if we see now all the files have got included into the merge worksheets. This is the merge worksheet, and this was the queries. If there are more than one queries, those will appear here. Transform sample was this, the first one which I said, that was the biology file. In this case, the function of the transform file was here, the sample file was here, that was biology XLS, and then the parameters which got into the mergers. So here is the merge worksheet. Now if you see now, roll number, name and marks, by default this has turned out to be the header. If at all these headers are to be chosen, then one can say use first row as headers, or by default now it has taken the header as the common titles in the file table. So now this will be, or this can be exported as a table or other options. Now once I am sure that whatever was required is there, and now if I count here, there are 114 rows. That means by default 19 into 6, that is 114 files or 114 rows have been imported here. Fine. So once I'm sure that everything that was required has been done, and now I'm all set import or rather to load this into the worksheet, the Excel. Right now I am in the Power Query editor here, and I am in the Power Query editor here, and now if I wish to import or load this into the worksheet, I have to go here in this option here, close and load. If I choose the drop down from it, there are two options, close and load. That will by default load this file into a table format which I had chosen in the invoke custom function, or rather the Power Query had chosen it. The other option here is close and load to, which I had told you some time ago that I'll explain you. So I'm going to click it. As soon as I click it, now it shows me the options to import the data. The first option is table, second option is pure table report, so it will appear as a pure table report. Third one is pure chart, it will appear as a chart, and only create the connections. That means only the connections to the original files will be. And we have option here either to create in a new worksheet or in an existing worksheet. And add this data to the data model. This option can be used if data has to be maintained later on somewhere else. So now I'm going to choose here table option and existing worksheet. So now I want this to be brought into the existing worksheet. The cell which I want it to be imported from is A1. I have chosen that, or that is what is right now on the screen, and now I'm going to say OK. As soon as I say OK, the Power Query runs, and the data in the format of table, in a form of a table, has been imported here, and there we are. So there is the merge worksheet, 115 rows loaded is what the query says. I have option to close the query from here and then walk in through this database. Now friends, this was the way I had opted here in the Power Query to append the input data at the very beginning, means the source files themselves I had appended, and so it appeared like this. Now I'm going to show you another way of doing it. Let me open another file here, file new, and now I will demonstrate it the other way. Now the steps are already explained to you, so I won't take much time on explaining those again. I'm importing the same data. So I'm going to say merge worksheets. This is a folder. I have chosen the folder. Database has appeared here. I say transform data. There it is on our screen. As earlier, I'm going to choose not to import arts file here. So now I have the database here. Earlier, I had chosen to remove the XLS from this column. Now I'm not going to do that. Right now, I'll say combine. So now it's combining files. When I go here, I say sheet 1. This is database here, and I say OK. Now it has processed the data, and now if you see here, I have retained the source name here, and so since I have chosen retain the source name here, the file names have appeared here. Now if you see, the first file or the sample file was biology file. So as a default, that has appeared first. Now here are 114 rows, those are imported in here. So I'm sure that all the data has been imported, and here now we see there are 4 columns which are imported, whereas in earlier demo there were only 3 columns. Now I have chosen not to append the source data, and hence the source name or the source file has come up here. Now I can choose here, rename this. I can right click on that and say rename. Now I'm going to write here subject, and once done, the next thing what I'm going to do here in this database, now in this column, I will go to the transform option here and again say extract and say text before the delimiter. Delimiter is dot, full stop, and I say OK. Once I do that, now the XLS thing or the XLS text has been removed, and now what I see here are the subject names: biology, chemistry, English, history, and blah blah. Fine. So let me walk you through all these steps that the Power query ran through. First one was the source. The source was 7 XLS files. Then I filtered the rows. One of the files that was arts, I removed it. Next thing is the filter hidden files. So any file by default, if at all had been open, would have not affected the Power query running. Then invoke custom. Here I invoke the custom wherein I chose the attributes to be as record. The next thing is rename the column, that is renamed column 1, that was renaming the source name and changed it to the subject. Then remove other columns, that is what I had done. I had removed all the other columns, and now you see the source name was retained. That's why the subject names appeared in the list there. The next thing what I did was expanded table. There it was. After expanding the table, it got applied not only to a sample file, that was biology XLS, but also to the remaining 5 XLS files. So total 6 files with 19 rows each. It turned out to be 114 rows plus one title there. Then I changed the change type. So now I change the type here. Then the next thing was rename the columns and then extracted text before delimiter. That is how all these things went on quite smoothly till now. Now, since I'm sure that this is the database or this is data I require right now, I'm going to say, I'm going to go to the home tab and choose here to close and load. I'm not going to use the power pivot table option here. Pivot table option can be later on explored by you, and it's quite simple. In case if you require any help, you can go to my another video wherein pivot tables creation and management has been explained. So now I'm going to say in existing worksheet, I'm going to say OK, and now the data has got ported in 114 rows loaded is what I get a message here in the Power Query steps, and that is what was the intention. Once done, now I can go and see, cross check that all 6 subjects, that is 114 rows, appear here. Now this is a table. If at all you have happened to see my another video on subtotal you must have seen how a subtotal function can be effectively used. And now I'm going to give you the demo here of how to use the subtotal function. Now friends, I'm going to choose to find out the summation of the marks those are scored by all these or the students. I'm going to use the subtotal function. Subtotal, I opt to choose it. Now from this, as I explained you, there are 9 plus 9, 18 options. The later 9 options are used for ignoring any of the hidden files, and so I'm going to choose this 109 option and double click it. There it is. I'll give comma. The next thing it asks for is the reference 1, reference 2, and so on and so forth. So now what I'm going to do here is from the table range I'm going to choose the first cell to last one. I'm going to use Control Shift down key. There it is. All cells from the range has been chosen. So my reference has been correctly chosen now. Now I'm going to close the parenthesis and say enter. Now you see total marks, that is 797, is what is the addition of all these 114 rows, or rather the column D with the 114 rows. Here it is. Now if at all I want to find out the average or the percentage scored by the students. So now I'm going to write here average. So now here again I'm going to make use of subtotal function. Subtotal, and I'm going to choose the option of average from this, from the lower portion. That means which will ignore the hidden cells if at all there are some hidden cells in this database. Now again I'll choose the range as earlier, starting from the first cell, the last cell of the marks code, and once done I will give close parenthesis here and say enter. Now if you see friends, what average we see here is nothing else but, if I call it as a percentage, it is the percent of marks scored by all these 19 students in all the 6 subjects which are under consideration right now. Now, why did I do all this? Now, as a head teacher or as a class teacher, I need to know what is the score of each student in each of these subjects and overall percentage of that student or any of the students. So now this database, you may be wondering what may be the intention of merging all these XLS files into a single worksheet. This is the intention to find out marks scored by the candidates or the students, and what marks are scored in what subject, what has been the score in terms of the percentage scored. So now how to use that? Let me go to data, use the command here, slicer. Now let me go over here and use the command slicer. So here I am in the design tab and I'm going to use the command insert slicer. Once I say insert slicer, it gives me options to choose from. I'm going to choose all 4 of them, and there it is. So there are the 4 slicers. I'm going to pull them here so that those are very much visible to all of us, and I'll give you a demo as to how these slicers can be used for the purpose of finding out relevant data. Now all this time I had the option here of finding out the marks and the percentage scored here, marks and the percentage scored here in these 2 rows. Now this was for all the students for all the subjects, and it was summation of it. Now in case if I want to know as to what was the score of Brian Mason, there it is. I can directly click onto Brian Mason in the name slicer. There it is. So now I see Mr. Brian Mason in all these 6 subjects has scored 429 marks, and this has been averaged out to 71.5 here for these 6 subjects. So now the percentage that Brian has scored is 71.5. In case if I want to see what Chris Beck has scored or any of these students have scored, Elmar Deacon or Graham Smith or John Abraham or John King, I can go on selecting this and there it is. Now in case if I'm not very much interested in knowing what the students have individually scored. And if I am interested in knowing what has been the score for biology overall. So I'll click biology as a slicer option, and there it is. So in biology, all the 19 students taken together or considered together have scored these many marks. The total of their score is 1328, and average or the percentage that has been scored is 69 point. In this way, I can use the slicers and go ahead for checking what has been. In case if I want to see what has been the score on biology, chemistry and physics, there it is. And if I want to see roll number 5, how much he has scored, there it is. Roll number 5 is Mr. Neil Barker, and in biology has scored 92 marks, in chemistry 49 marks, and in physics 81 marks. The total turns out to be 222 marks, and the average or the percentage what Neil Barker has scored is 74%. Right? Now, the same way I can use the column, I can switch off these filters or slicers, and here I can go and check who has scored maximum marks. So if I go here and say 93, it is Mr. James King. He has scored 93 in English and 93 in maths. So this is the highest score, and the lowest score 45. If I want to check up, there are three individuals here, Mr. Chris Becu, John Manister, and Cedar Oze, who has scored 45 in these various subjects: chemistry, English, maths, and physics. So in this way, one can find out how and who has fared well or how has the faring happened. And this subtotal can very well be printed or can be grabbed into and posted into a presentation. So this application, I have taken example of school marks, but it can be any other application like performance of different departments in an organization, or performance of a taxpayer over number of years, or n number of taxpayers being visualized or being scrutinized by the income tax department, or there can be n number of other applications. You say and you have it. So viewers, though I have given you a demo of a single application, you can expand it to your applications as and when required. Now friends, I'll just switch off these queries off, and now I'll say or I'll tell you how can I include the seventh subject, that was arts, which I had not included earlier in this database. So here I can switch and I can keep on the table anywhere. This is a table now. So as soon as I click on the table, the design and the query tabs switch on, or if I click outside, they go off. So I'm going to use the query here, and I'm going to say edit. So after I go to the edit query tab, the Power Query editor opens up. Now as earlier, I'll go to the source file, and here I had chosen not to use the arts file through filter row options. So now here what I'm going to, I have two options. Either I can delete this filter row option here, and there it is, it says delete. Once is deleted, the option arts also appears in this case, and now I can go over here and say refresh all. Once it is done, I will go back, close and load, or I can also choose to just refresh the database here. So I can opt here, close and load, or choose extract before delimiter, and there it is, everything was okay. I can choose to go to home, refresh and refresh all. Once it is done, I'm going to close the query here and go back, and as soon as go back to my database or the data table, here it is, the art subject has been included in this, and now I have got the score of every 19 individual in arts. And if you see, now here in the subject slicer, arts has got added, and now if I want to score, I want to choose the score of arts of roll number 8. There it is 81 marks scored by Brian Mason. If I choose to remove this option and say arts, the total score in arts is 1297, and the average or the averaged out percentage is 68.3. In this way, we can use the slicers, we can add the files, we can remove the files as and when. Now, in case, suppose there was some subject which was missed out earlier from the teacher, and now the teacher has got all the details ready with them. or with her, and now she wants to include it in this. How to do that? Now friends, we had got the data placed into a single folder, and it was very much in this folder, right? And now if at all some other teacher has come up with a file, say uh, new. So this is another XLS. I'm going to drag it and put it into this folder. So now as soon as I go and open this folder here, I see there is an additional folder here, new. And now with this, how do I include this new into my database here? Let me do that. So now again, I'll click on the table here. I'll go to the query and say edit. Once into the edit query pane, I am going to choose the source, and here it is. Once the source is there, we don't see the file here right now. So what we are going to do is we are going to say refresh all. As soon as I refresh, the new XLS file has appeared in this. And now if I go back and say close query and keep the changes, the folder new should appear here by default. Well, I missed out doing the refresh all, and I need to do that before that is done. So I go to edit again, source. The source, this XLS file has come up. I say refresh all. So once done, I go to the last one and check up here. Now 152 rows are there. So there is a file here new. This has got added into the merger. And now if I choose to close this query, there it is. Oh, didn't I do the save? I didn't do the refresh all. I need to do that every time I'm forgetting it. Sorry for that. So now once I'm here, I have to go here, say refresh all. There it is. After the refresh is done, I say close, and now I'm sure it should appear here. There it is. So the new folder has appeared here, and once it's refreshed, every time any new database or any data you add in, you can add it this way. So Power Query is a very important and easy way of doing it. But friends, word of caution, let me tell you, in all these files, the number of tabs, that is sheets, in each worksheet was 1. So if at all any one of them had got any mismatch in number of tabs, it will not get merged into or combined into a single data. Well, with this, now I explain you how to merge multiple worksheets into a single Excel worksheet, how to make use of that in a different way, in combination of different formulae of Excel or different applications of Excel. In Power Query, when we go to the query, there are multiple options of when I say edit, one can go to transform and choose how to transform it. Or one can even choose to load data. Let me give you example of loading this data here. So if one chooses to load data and choose to load it, now it won't because I already loaded it into a table. If I want to transform it, I'll have to go and change it in different way. So now here are some options like group by. One can group by the table based on the values. Whatever columns you have considered, you can filter it or you can apply groups over there. Use first row as headers. So many times as it appeared in this case, the headers went on to become roll number, name and marks. Whenever the merger, I chose it to happen that way. Else it would have given us multiple, at least 7 or 8 times as many number of files were there. The same number of rows would have appeared, and then the first row as header would have been choice there. Well, it transpose rows into columns and columns into rows. Reverse rows is it will turn out upside down. That's all. Count rows, it will count the rows which are getting imported, and there it is, right? So there are many ways of doing it. So I can close it and close and load. It gives me the option here again. Same thing. So now it has loaded only what I chose to transform. and there it is. So one has to be very careful as to how and what is getting transformed and then go ahead with further things, right? So friends, these are some of the options which I explain you here, and let me conclude this application or my video here, wherein I explain you how to use the different options here. I would like you to practice it yourselves on multiple applications before you become confident about how it's to be done. It's quite easy if you watch this video sincerely and apply it into your applications as and when it's required. So friends, this I'll conclude this video. I hope you liked it. Express your likes at the YouTube channel and please subscribe the channel if at all you haven't done it till now. There it is. Now you must have seen I chose the transformation into the merge worksheets and there it is 152 rows loaded and there I am. One can even opt here to load to and say PowerPoint or pivot table report and I'll say in a new worksheet I'll say OK. The query is currently connected to a table in your workbook. Loading the query data to a pivot table or pivot chart will delete the table. Do you want to continue? So now this table what I had created earlier will get deleted and the new pivot table will get. And friends, already as I explained you how to use the pivot table is what I had explained you long back. Let me do it for you. Now here in this case I have chosen apply roll number and subject in the filters and the subject of marks here in the pivot table. So now here it is Brian Mason's total sum of marks have appeared here. So in case if I choose to put subject into columns, there it is. So column wise every person's performance is seen here. In arts Brian Mason has got 81, biology 48, chemistry, English, history, maths, new, physics and this is grand total. Now one can choose these things as and when required. Roll numbers are optional, so if I want to choose a roll number 1, how he has performed, I can choose it, say OK, there it is. My roll number I can filter or if I choose all will appear, right? Now I can choose to put in the subject into the filter and there it is. So if I go for chemistry and see for biology and see how people have performed, there it is, sum of marks here. If I choose something else, say maths, there it is. If I choose multiple, this. So I can choose multiple, say biology, chemistry and physics is what I want to choose. And one can find out or one can apply pivot tables for multiple functions and rip out the benefits of using pivot. Fine. So friends, let me conclude this video. I hope you must have liked it. Thanks for watching this video till the end. Do subscribe the channel and keep demanding the subjects on which you want me to create. I'll be back with my next video soon. Till then, stay safe and enjoy. Bye bye.